Hi, ladies. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sally. Hello, hello. Oh my goodness, it feels like such a
Oh,
long time. Hi.
hi.
How is everyone? I miss you.
Yes, you are.
It's only been what, like 10 days? Not even, but it feels like a really long time. I hope everybody's doing great.
Yeah, but I felt that I decided between myself that this has to be ongoing forever for me with you and with the groups. I will not compromise and stay without support and
Here's the thing about that. You do it until you feel complete. This is something I learned from one of my coaches. Um, everybody takes a different amount of time to feel like they're done. Like at some point, maybe it's not now for you, but at some point you're going to feel complete. You're going to feel like I've learned everything that I can learn from Dana. I've gotten everything that I can, and then at that point it'll be a natural transition to where you won't need the support anymore. I've worked with coaches for 5 years before I got that feeling, right? But I was in like longer programs. I was in like year-long programs. So the program was a year long already. And I felt like I needed to stay on for a total of 5 years. And then at the end of the 5 years, I was really like complete. I'm like, I'm done. And when I go back and listen to these coaches now, or I reconsider, do I want to go back and work with them again? Do I want to, revisit some things again? And I'll go and like, because they're always doing maybe like a free master class or something like this. And I'm still on their mailing list. And I go back and read and I go back and listen to a master class. And it just reinforces I'm actually done. I don't, it was incredible what they gave me and what I learned from them. But you do reach a point and you'll know, like right now, you don't feel that. So you know that you're not ready yet. And there's nothing wrong with that because as you've realized, especially you, Sally, this time, there's so many layers, right? And you don't get it all the first time and you don't learn it all the first time. You miss a lot of things, because everybody's going to come in here looking for something a little bit different. So everybody's going to pick the thing that really sticks out for where they are in their life at that moment in time. And that's the piece of the program that's going to make the biggest difference to them. And then not that anybody's going to do it on purpose, but you just might not focus on the other parts that I'm teaching or things that I'm saying because you don't need them just yet. And then as you keep evolving, you come back and you realize, okay, I focused on this piece,
yes.
I'm ready to look at the next layer. And so then that makes more sense to you and you benefit from it more. So it's when you're on this path of self-learning and self-development, it doesn't end. There is no end to it. It just becomes what different things, like you're focusing on your health first, then you might focus on creating a different maybe career path for yourself. I see this happen with me, and I see it happening with a lot of women. Like, what I'm doing with my life, whether I'm already I'm pursuing a career, I'm working somewhere, or I'm a stay-at-home mom, like, am I really satisfied doing the thing I've been doing for so many years? You start to reevaluate a lot of things. I know a lot of women who left relationships where they finally realized, like, I've for whatever reason, I have evolved beyond this relationship. I'm trying to work on this relationship. It's not working anymore. My spouse doesn't want to meet me, because a lot of times you'll find one spouse who's ready to do the work and really look inwards and do the emotional healing, the physical healing, and ready to, like, contribute to the relationship in a new way that can bring them both forward. But there's usually one who doesn't want to do that. So it ends up, I've had, whether colleagues of mine, friends of mine, ladies in my programs, who you finally wake up to that, I'm doing all this work and I'm evolving in this way. And as much as I hate to admit it, this relationship is not moving forward with me. So everything shifts, but at different times for everybody and in different ways. So, keep listening to yourself, Sally, which is what you're doing.
Yeah. But it's very different in your program. I mean, I had different journeys and this happened, people were veiled, they became unveiled,
Yes,
married, not
yes.
married. But with this program, I thought that I had it all last time because I'm really sticking to the eating. I mean, throughout a year now.
Yeah.
And I thought that I'm just, I didn't realize I'm going to add all this, what I'm adding now, you know, it wasn't خالص. I thought I'm just reinforcing some things, but now I feel it's a completely whole, another different way of recipes, of lifestyle in the house, changed my kitchen, doing other things for myself, and
Yeah.
listening to my body. This is very new. I thought I was doing very well. I was swimming almost every day. I was stopping all the food that I used to eat. But this time, listening, this fine tuning, I didn't have it. I
Mm.
was trying to
Yeah.
be healthy, but now I can really know when I eat only fish, but maybe too much. I had it like 3, 4 times. After being on fruits and vegetables,
Yeah.
I could feel the heaviness. I could feel the headache, a little bit of headache.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really energetic. Now I'm fasting and I feel I'm very light since early in the morning. I'm moving and I feel
So,
very.
so you've got a head start. Some of you have been fasting, I know. So you're getting a head start on Ramadan. You know what Ramadan's going to feel like for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I did it kid. I'm not doing it for any other reason, I didn't have any days or anything. I just thought I had too much fish, like 4 days, and a little bit of nuts and I thought it's still healthy, but it was too much on my body,
Mm.
on my system. So it's a very, very, very important learning. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. I mean, it's just keeping yourself open always, right? I think all of us are at some level can be guilty of thinking, oh, I've already done this. Oh, I've already learned this. Oh, I don't need to go back and this is something a mistake I made. We all made this mistake, thinking that just because you've done something before, you've read something before, you've gone through an experience before, then that means you're complete with it. It means you don't need to go back and revisit, or you don't need to go back and be a beginner. A lot of us don't allow ourselves to be beginners all over again. And being a beginner means automatically you come into something with fresh eyes and you see it differently, even though you've done it before, maybe many times before. But allowing yourself to always be a beginner is really the way that you get into the process of unlearning and learning and relearning, right? It starts with the mindset of I'm a beginner, here we go again, as if I've never done this before. So yes, amazing, Sally. Hello, ladies. Everybody's here. Hiba, Noher, Hiba, Abir, Habiba, lots of ladies. Rania, Shadeen. Today's class, I'm sure you're all very, very excited about it, curious about it. One of my favorite classes to teach, and definitely an incredible eye-opening class, because how many of you consider yourselves to be emotional eaters? Let me know in the chat. How many of you consider yourself to be an emotional eater? Me, I mean, yeah. At some point in our lives, yes, everybody does. And it's one of those things that can really hinder your progress in your health or in your life. Whether before coming into this program, you were just going on from one diet to the next. The reason a traditional conventional diet doesn't work is because it doesn't address emotional eating. And you cannot address the way somebody eats, the way that somebody nourishes themselves, or the way that somebody breaks down around food, or the way that cravings work, without understanding this huge emotional piece. It's like it's the engine inside you, really. And what I want to help you do today is understand this better, because emotional eating is never going to go away. Even after you do this class, and let's say you go back and listen to this class 10 times and really understand it and really become aware of your emotions, we will never, ever 100% be rid of something called emotional eating, and we don't want to. It's not about becoming a robot where, you know, you never respond to a situation in your life using food. It's not about that. We're programmed for that, actually, because as babies from birth, you cry, and what does your mother give you to soothe you? Food, whether that's breast milk or food later on. You cry, they soothe you with food. It's something that's a part of us to soothe ourselves that way. Where it's gone, where it's not serving us anymore, is it controls us. So where every little trigger, every single emotion that comes up for you that you don't have the tools to deal with, or you're not letting yourself process, you want a quick fix for that uncomfortable feeling, and that quick fix is just to eat something. So what I want to walk you through today, I want first to make sure that you're not going to be interrupted, and I want to make sure you have something to write with. So, because there's a little bit of an exercise that we're going to do. So make sure that right now, for the first part of what we're going to do, you're not going to be interrupted. You're sitting someplace comfortably. And I want you all to close your eyes, because I want you to picture something with me. So close your eyes, sit back, relax. And I want you to imagine this with me. Imagine that it's about 9 p.m. on a regular weekday. Your kids are finally asleep, if they're little, or if they're school age, you know, they're quiet and maybe busy studying in their rooms. Dinner time is finished, bath time is finished. Nobody needs you for anything, not for homework, not for anything. You've tidied up the house, maybe you cooked for the next day, maybe you cleaned and prepped for the next day. You go take off your clothes, maybe you take a shower, put on your PJs, and your husband is either still at work or he's watching TV on the couch, or maybe he's already asleep even. And so you just think to yourself, well, now what? I'm all by myself, nobody needs me. I've done everything I need to do for today. And then you think to yourself, you know what? I've been so good today. I've been so good all day. At work, you know, when they ordered pizza and they ordered shawarma and they ordered, you know, takeout, I didn't have it. And when I went out for coffee with my friend, she had that croissant, she had that dessert. I didn't have it. Instead, I had my little salad with no oil, and I had a half a cup of rice and one piece of boiled chicken, and I had one single fruit and Greek yogurt for dinner, which is exactly like what the diet plan hung up on my refrigerator door said I should eat today. And I followed it exactly like how I was supposed to. And even when I made my son a little tiny cheese sandwich, he left a little bit behind on his plate. I didn't even eat that leftover bite, even though it was a tiny, tiny, tiny bite, but I didn't eat it, even though I really wanted to. It looked so good. But I kept telling myself, you know what? You shouldn't throw the bread away. It's just a small bite. But then I also told myself, but what difference would this make? But then I kept having this back and forth. It's so small. It's just a little bite. Just have it. No, don't have it. But you were so good today. In the end, you decide, you know what? Yeah, I have been very, very good today, so I'm not going to ruin it. So I threw out that last little piece of a cheese sandwich. But now it's really quiet. And now you have nothing to do. And you're not really sleepy yet. You don't really sleep until 11 or 12 anyway. You don't know what to do with yourself. So you go and scroll through Facebook and Instagram. It's the same news, depressing news, the same posts, nothing to inspire you. So you decide to go sit next to your husband. He's watching TV. But he's watching soccer, or he's watching a show that you just can't relate to. You really can't imagine how anyone can sit through it. So you get up, because your husband wasn't really paying attention to you anyway. You wander around the house again. You pick up a few more stray shoes, socks, books. You walk back to the kitchen. You put away the clean plates. You unload the dishwasher. And as you're putting all the clean plates and cutlery away, it suddenly hits you that you're really, really tired. And you're really bored. and you're fed up and you're bored of your routine. Every day, the same thing, day in, day out. And as you're thinking this, you absentmindedly open the fridge. You're not really hungry. But when you open the fridge, you see the cheese that you used to make your son's sandwich. It's right there on the shelf in front of you, right next to the bread. You're still not really thinking. You're still thinking about how bored you are with your life. You let out a small sigh. You take them out and decide you're going to make a small sandwich, a really small one. And you tell yourself, tomorrow, I'm going to be back to my diet. So you cut the cheese and you place it between the bread and you pop it into the microwave and you listen to the cheese as it sizzles and melts. And then you remember that a cucumber would go perfectly with this melted cheese. So you take out the sandwich out of the microwave. As you wait for it to cool, you wash and chop the cucumber. And that familiar aroma of the melted cheese mixed with the bread, the scent alone calms you down and fills you with more excitement than you've had the past week. And you didn't even realize you needed calming down, or that you actually hadn't had any excitement in so long. You don't even sit to eat. You take a bite of the sandwich, standing at your kitchen counter, relishing the moment of solitude and pure joy and comfort the sandwich gives you. And even if it calms you, your heart beats a little faster, just how good it is. You take another bite and another, stuffing the cucumber in between so you can get that perfect mix of tastes. Feels so good. It tastes so good. You feel so good. So good, you want another one. You tell yourself, I've had one already. What difference will having another one make? What's done is done. The bread and cheese are still on the counter anyway, because you never put them back. So you make another sandwich and relish the same sensations all over again, and you feel so much better, happy even. But just as quickly, the guilt sets in. You put everything back in the fridge and look around quickly. Did anyone see I broke my diet? Tomorrow, you tell yourself, tomorrow I'm back on track. Open your eyes, ladies. Does this sound familiar? It could be the cheese. It could be chocolate. It could be chips. Karen, oh my God, so right. Exactly, says Dina. Yep. Sally, yes, it does. Hiba, I did exactly the same today and I completely regretted it. Okay. Shadeen, sounds too familiar. Sounds too familiar because we're all humans having very, very similar experiences and we all have the same emotions. So this is it. That's emotional eating. It's when you're not sure why, you're not sure how, you find yourself sort of in a blind, quiet rage, and you wake up from it and you've had 3 melted cheese sandwiches, or you've had, 5 donuts, or you've had 3 bags of chips, whatever it is for you. This is emotional eating. And we know it's emotional eating because typically, like I said, it's mindless. You're not aware. You're really not in control. You do it to numb or soothe or please or relax or reward yourself. And it's typically a binge. Emotional eating is not about you having a little piece of chocolate because I'm not feeling okay today. Emotional eating is about having a lot of chocolate because you're not feeling okay today. It's about having 1 or 2 melted cheese sandwiches. They don't even, you're not even satisfied or full at the end of them. You just keep filling yourself up with that. That is emotional eating. Don't confuse that with you going out and enjoying a meal for pleasure. Because you're out, you're having dinner with your husband, you go out to dinner with your friends, it's Friday and you want to have a pizza. This is what you really need to start. One of the things you need to become aware of between this sort of mindless binge, where when you're done, you wake up and you're like, oh my God, what did I just do? Versus it's Thursday night, I'm going out, I want to have a nice meal with my husband and my friends and my family. Two very complete, very different experiences. And emotional eating is triggered by two things and two things only. One is nutritional deficiencies. This is why we did the detox first, and now we're talking about emotional eating, because you can confuse a nutritional deficiency with an emotional craving. If your body's missing basic nutrients, if you're not eating the right things that your cells need to be fed, if you're not eating at the right times, if you're skipping meals, all of these can show up as strong cravings that you're going to interpret as emotional cravings, the result of which is emotional eating. Now that we've more or less balanced all of your nutritional deficiencies, now is the time for you where you can take a closer look, like Hiba today. Right, why did I do that? I'm eating incredibly nutrient-dense foods. My cells aren't hungry. My cells aren't starving. Why am I going to the fridge and making myself a melted cheese sandwich? The second trigger is uncomfortable emotions. Write that down, uncomfortable emotions. There's nothing wrong with, I mean, most of us have been in a way programmed that there's good emotions and bad emotions, right? Everybody says you should always be happy and upbeat and joyful, and you really shouldn't be sad or angry or fearful or depressed. Like, let's not feel those things. But they're all emotions. They all create a certain vibrational energy in your body. Yes, do some of them have a much lower vibrational energy, like sadness and grief, versus the highest one, which is joy? Yes. But just because they're on a scale of high vibrational energy to low vibrational energy doesn't mean that the ones with the high vibrational energy are good and the ones on the low vibrational energy and are bad. That just describes the way they react in your body. That's it. There is no such thing as a good or bad emotion. Every single emotion is a message for you. It's a message for you to look at your life and explore and see why this emotion is coming up. Some of the messages might be coming from your history, situations, people, conversations, things you haven't processed, and they can bubble up anytime from your past. And some of them can be current, like you're currently bored and frustrated and tired. And your job is to observe your emotions and not to label yourself with your emotion. So when we say, even if without being specific, if you say, I am an emotional eater, and we've all said that, you're labeling yourself. You're not an emotional eater. You are a human being having emotional experiences. Already that puts you in a very different place than the place of I'm an emotional eater, which is very powerless. But I am a human being who goes through emotional experiences. That's a very empowering. Any type of experience is empowering. So there's nothing wrong with using food for comfort, but you want to be coming from this mindset that I'm a human being who who undergoes emotional experiences. I'm a human being who has a wide range of emotions, and these emotions come up to show me how I'm looking at the world or how I'm experiencing the world, or they're here to give me a message the same way like my physical symptoms give me a message about what's happening with my body. So the difference is with emotional eating is that you're trying to deal with an uncomfortable emotion. An emotion that you don't know how to process. You don't know what to do with it. It just feels uncomfortable in your body. And the reason you use food is because every uncomfortable emotion that you experience looks and feels like hunger. So let's go through them, the uncomfortable emotions. You've got sadness, anger, guilt, fear, resentment, loneliness, rejection, despair, grief, anxiety, revenge, worry, irritation, frustration, disappointment, and hopelessness. Every one of these is an uncomfortable emotion, and it looks like hunger because when you're feeling this emotion, what you're actually hungry for is its opposite. Write that down. When you feel an uncomfortable emotion, it looks like hunger because what you're actually hungry for is the opposite. So when you're sad, what you're actually hungry for is happiness. When you're rejected, what you're actually hungry for is acceptance. When you feel things are hopeless, what you're actually hungry for is hopefulness. You're hungry for courage, for connection, for safety, for compassion, for encouragement, for companionship, for passion, for excitement, for freedom, for joy, for love. But because you've never been taught that, right? You've never been taught that when you feel sadness, it's because you actually want to feel happy. Or when you feel loneliness, it's actually because you want companionship. You're hungry for the opposite. Because you've never been taught that. And you've never been taught how to fulfill those needs, even if you do realize why you're sad, you want the opposite. You've never been taught how to fulfill that need emotionally. And more importantly, you've never been taught or been given the safe space to express these low vibrational emotions. Because most of us were brought up to be good little girls, and good little girls don't complain or make demands. And so you have to find another way to avoid the discomfort of these feelings, right? You have to find another way to, you're feeling them, you don't know how to make them go away, you don't know how to process them, you don't know how to express them, so you eat. Because eating gets you rid of the present discomfort. It means you don't actually have to deal with the bigger problem, but I can eat and find like temporary comfort. So if I'm, I have the discomfort of feeling alone and I don't have companionship, I'm going to eat in that moment so I can forget about this feeling. If I have the discomfort of feeling rejected and not feeling accepted, I can eat so I can get rid of this present discomfort. If I am missing joy, and I'm sad all the time, I'm not able to find joy in my life, well, you know what? I can find temporary joy in this melted cheese sandwich. If you have constant discomfort of feeling unsupported instead of feeling encouraged, you know what? If it happens enough times and you don't know how to get the encouragement that you want, you don't know how to express yourself, you're going to eat to get rid of that present discomfort. All of that. Discomfort of feeling unseen instead of connected, discomfort of your daily frustrations, discomfort of always worrying instead of feeling safe, or of always being disappointed, or of not having enough passion in your life. Because they create an ache, like right here. It's like a dull ache, right? And nobody wants to face that ache. Or you don't want to admit to yourself that the reason you have this ache is something in your life that needs your attention, right? Because if you're feeling lonely, you have to admit to yourself that maybe you are alone, or that you don't have support, or you don't have love, or you don't have companionship. And you don't want to have to admit that to yourself, because then maybe you have to go and do something about it and you don't know what to do about it. Or you eat because you're afraid that if you release your pent-up anger or you release your pent-up resentment, you don't know how that's going to be, what are the consequences of that? What's the reaction going to be? If I show my spouse or my kids or my colleagues or my boss or my parents, if I show them how angry I am or this resentment that's been building up inside me, how do I know I'm not going to get rejected on the other side? How do I know they're not just going to turn around and walk away and not listen to me or not talk to me or like give me the silent treatment? You don't know. So you're faced with a situation that you've never faced before, and you don't have the emotional strength or the tools to deal with it. So what's the easiest thing to do? And what becomes, again, a really well-ingrained neural pathway, a habit, default function? You eat. Literally becomes your default, because also the critter brain, remember, the critter brain doesn't want you to be uncomfortable, doesn't want you to be sad, doesn't want you to have to deal with some hardships. It always wants you to feel pleasure. So also, as soon as you start to feel discomfort, critter brain is going to be there to help you get rid of that discomfort. And the easiest way is for you to eat something. So again, let me be very clear. As long as you are a living, breathing human being, we will use food to find comfort from our emotions. It will happen, and that's okay. It's okay. Just remember that this is emotional intelligence and that it's time to just shift the narrative around it. Instead of giving into it, instead of it being your default function, you're going to shift it so that you're aware of it and you become more mindful of it. All right, ladies? So I want to start by you identifying your current discomfort, your current uncomfortable emotions. If it's today, it's maybe the past month, maybe the past 6 months, what have been, and there could be, you could have all of these or just one of these, but I want you to identify the big ones for you and then put it in the chat. The big ones, is it boredom, loneliness, anger, resentment, fear, or worry? Put it in the chat, ladies. Oh. Shadeen says boredom. Hiba, fear, worry, boredom, stress. Abir, loneliness and sadness. Dina says all. Mariam says stress. No here, stress, occasionally, bored. Reem, fear, worry, stress. Okay. All right, so let's try and dig deeper. We will dig deeper and let's think about why. Why do you have these feelings? Remember, we did the thought model. We know that you can control, you can change how you feel by changing the thoughts. All right, so I just want you to keep that at the back of your mind right now. But the reason that we can feel bored, lonely, tired, stressed, okay, basically comes down to how are you feeding your soul? An important concept that we learned in nutrition school was that there are 2 types of food. You have the food that you basically eat, like whatever you're eating, that you put in your mouth and you chew and it goes inside you. Whether healthy or unhealthy, right? Food, actual food. We call that secondary food. Primary food is anything that feeds your soul. So it's not about the broccoli or the pizza or the milk and cheese sandwich or the coffee or all of those things that are physically going into your body. It's about how are you nurturing your soul. And that was labeled as primary, while the things you actually eat to nourish your body physically were labeled as secondary. Because when your primary foods, and I'm going to tell you what those are right now, when they're not being fulfilled to your satisfaction in your life, you will always subconsciously look to food to fill that gap. So you can be eating a the most perfect plan in the world. But if your primary foods are not also nourished, then the best plan in the world will not work for you. So take out a pen and paper, and I want you to number from 1 to 12. And write these down. I'll go through them twice. Number 1 is social life. Number 2 is joy. 3 is spirituality. 4 is creativity. 5 is finances. 6 is career. 7 is education. 8 is health. 9 is physical activity. 10 is home cooking. 11 is home environment. And 12 is relationships. I'm going to copy paste these into the chat. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about each one. And on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, I want you to rate each one of these categories based on how satisfied you are with this part of your life. All right, and I'm going to walk you through each one. Let me just put them in the chat to make sure you all have them.
1 the lowest?
1 is your lowest, yes. 10 is the highest. Here we go. Let me put it right here. Twelve of them. Joy, spirituality, creativity, finances, career, education, health, physical activity, home cooking, home environment, and relationships. So let's start with the first one. Oh, wait. Oops, I missed one. Social life is the first one. Sorry, ladies. Social life. I'm going to put it here, but social life is the first one we're going to do. Okay. Let's start with your social life. And there's no right or wrong answer here because each one of you is a complete different human being with different personality, with different family dynamics, with different social dynamics. So it's not about comparing yourself to how other people are doing social life. It's about how you envision your social life to be, and is the actuality of your social life living up to how you envision it to be. And this goes for every single category. It's about how you envision that category to be for you, not how you think it should be, not in comparison to your friends or your family members, but when you take a really serious, hard, honest look at that area in your life, how do you want it to be? Is it matching up to that? Okay? So think about your social life. Are you happy with the amount of socializing that you do? If you go out a lot, is this exactly what you want to be doing? Or do you feel pressured maybe because your spouse likes to go out a lot, but you don't like to go out a lot? Or you really love going out a lot, and even if your husband was never there with you, you would still be going out a lot. Or do you wish you could go out more? Again, maybe you don't because your spouse doesn't, but you would love to. Are you satisfied with the kind of friends you have? Are you friends with them because, again, friends of your husband's, people you've just known for a long time, maybe you've outgrown some friendships, but you know, they're still there, so you still go out with them, but you know, you don't really feel a connection anymore? Or is it really the friends that you have are the ones who are there to support you and love you, and they're unconditional friendships, and they're the ones you always have on like speed dial when you want to go out and see? And how often do you see them? So the kinds of friendship, the quality of the people that you socialize with, and the quantity of time, how often you see them. That's what you want to be thinking about. So let's say for you, it's a 6, write down 6. Next is joy. Do exactly the same thing. Joy is portrayed as this, you know, you're like jumping around the house, you know, with like fairy wings and like, you know, just like literally crazy with happiness all the time. But joy means different things to different people. So and it shows up in different ways. So how much joy do you feel you have in your life right now? Whatever joy means to you, contentment, joy. Is it enough, what you currently have? Not at all. You don't have any joy. You can't even picture what you want because you haven't had it for so long. You can't even begin to describe it to yourself. It's way too little. Give it a number. Spirituality. So spirituality is not about, and it's not for me to tell you, it's not about like being religious necessarily, right? It can be, but it's more about, it could be, do you actually do for you, whatever means the most to you, do you actually do the spiritual religious practices that you want to be doing daily, or have you let them fall? If you're not into the spiritual practices, do you at least have a higher power that you can lean on? And to what extent does this higher power exist in your life, right? Is it something that you can close your eyes and say, right, God, even though maybe I don't do the practices, maybe I need to work on that. And even if I do all the practices, does this higher power, is it there to bolster me when I need it? Could I have more faith? Could I let go a little bit and just believe and have faith that this higher power has amazing things planned for me? Give that a rating. Creativity. So this isn't about being creative in the traditional sense where when we think of creative people, we think of people who can draw or paint or sing or play an instrument or they write poetry. It's not about that. It's not about having one of these God-given talents, let's say. It's about allowing creation into all parts of your life, where you get to be creative in the mundane, boring parts of your life, let's say, right? Maybe in the way that you dress. Do you allow yourself to be creative in the way that you dress? Do you allow yourself to be creative at home while you're prepping your food, right? Some of you have gotten really creative. Here's a great example. In the way that you prep your food, in the way that you store your prepped food. That's creativity. So are you creative in the kitchen, in prepping, in planning? Do you like to host dinner parties and you let your creativity let loose like that? Do you have enough of that in your life or not? Give it a rating. Finances. Are you happy with your financial situation? Most people today are going to complain about this one. But take a really honest look at it. Is it as stressful as you're making it out to be? Do you stay awake at night worried about where your next paycheck is coming from, if it's going to cover all the bills, how are you going to pay all the bills? Or if you just take a quiet moment to yourself, you can say, you know what? It may seem really challenging right now, but the truth of it is it's actually better than most people. And actually, we have enough to cover everything we need. So maybe this is something I don't need to stress about too much right now. Number 6 is career. So whether you are working outside of the home, you work in an office, you work for a company, maybe you have your own business, or you are a stay-at-home mom. When you wake up in the morning, regardless of which one of those you are you excited to get up and to go to work, to go and be the boss in your business, to wake up and be a stay-at-home mom? Or do you wake up every day and you literally have to drag your body out of bed because whatever it is that you're doing doesn't excite you anymore? It's not fulfilling anymore. It's not satisfying anymore. You don't like the people you work with. Maybe you used to enjoy this job before, but you've reached a place where there's no more growth for you. Maybe you used to love being a stay-at-home mom and giving everything to your family and to your kids, but there's a little itching feeling inside you that you could be doing something different, something more. Maybe you've been working for so long that the itching is like, I'm done serving my boss and serving the corporate world. I actually want to go back home and be more domestic. It can work that way too. So think about if you could wake up. It's all about waking up excited. What would have you wake up excited? That's going to determine how satisfied you are with this part of your life. Number 7 is education. How satisfied are you with your education so far? Whether you went all the way and did a PhD, or you stopped and got a bachelor's and you wanted to do a master's and a PhD and you never did. Maybe you would just like to be able to do some small courses right now. You know, like this is considered a course, right? This is a type of education. How satisfied are you? Do you want to keep learning more? Do you have this desire to keep evolving more? Or are you satisfied? You're done. You don't need to do anymore. Health. So this one should be a good one for all of you or most of you. How is your health? If I would have asked you this, a month ago or 6 weeks ago, definitely your answer would be very different than to your answer now. But think about your health. Do you feel more energetic? Do you feel more vibrant? Do you feel like your symptoms are subsiding? Or do you feel like your symptoms, have taken over your life and you can't live because you're in pain or because you have a condition that's debilitating? Are you able to do all the things you want to do for yourself every day? Is your body and your health, are they able to serve you in that way? Are you able to live your life on purpose because you have a body that can do that or not? Rate yourself. Physical activity. We are made to move. Human beings are made to move. Do you move every single day in some way? Or do you mostly sit? If you have an office job, the answer is you're mostly sitting. If you are a stay-at-home mom and you have help at home, chances are you're spending most of your time on the couch. Be very honest with yourself here. We are meant to do more physical movement than not during the day. Give yourself a rating. Number 10, home cooking. Do you mostly eat fresh, whole food made at home? Whether you make it or somebody else makes it at home, or do you mostly eat out or order food at home? Are you feeding your body fresh food that's alive and energetic, that's going to make you feel alive and energetic? Or are you living off of processed junk food made in a factory? Hopefully all of you are going to have a really high rating for this one. Number 11, your home environment. So I one time heard Oprah say, when you walk into your house, it should get up and greet you. So is your home comfortable? Is it tidy? Is it organized? Do you absolutely love it? Do you walk into your home and feel like this is your sanctuary? Or is it cluttered, messy, not organized, maybe dated? Do you come home and you just try to avoid certain areas and you just want to go to the one place that's yours, that's calm and quiet and organized, right? And beyond the physical aspect, when you walk into your home, do you feel safe? Or does it feel cold and unsafe? And finally, relationships are your primary relationships. So your spouse, your parents, your siblings, your best friends, are they mutually supportive? Meaning, do you get as much as you give in these relationships? Or are you the one who's always giving, saying yes, 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 supporting? You get called at any time and you're available. You're the one who does all the taking care of. You're the one who does all the thinking of the others, and the other side doesn't. Give it a rating and then put it in the chat, ladies, which one of these had the lowest ratings for you. Javier, social life 2, joy 1, spirituality 7, creativity 4, finances 9, 7, 6, 4. Okay. No here, spirituality. Anybody else, ladies? So here's the thing. When one or more of these areas is missing, so if it's, I want to say a 5 or less, if it's not as fulfilled as the other areas, you will look to food to fill that gap. Whether you're aware that there's a gap there or not, you know something's missing. You know something's uncomfortable. Now we've identified it, right? So a really easy one for all women, right, is not being mutually supported in your relationships. Everybody's felt this at one point or another, right? This leads to anger, it leads to loneliness, it leads to resentment, which are very, very uncomfortable. And if you don't have the tools to have the kind of conversations, mature conversations that are going to help you resolve this, and you're too afraid to face the discomfort, or you're too afraid to face the consequences of expressing yourself, you eat. We've all done it. This is the easiest one. This is the most obvious one. If you are in a career or you're a stay-at-home mom and it just doesn't fill you up, there's no passion, it's flatlined, right? This is going to leave you feeling every single day, whether you're aware of it or not, because you're just going to work every day, doing your duties every day. You're a stay-at-home mom, you wake up and you're just doing it like every single day, but you don't realize, if you don't stop and think about it, that it's making you depleted, unfulfilled, bored. And that bubbles up as a discomfort, especially if you can't leave this job, or if you can't figure out what it is that can really fill you up every day. You're just sort of going every day purposeless. That's a discomfort. When you come home after work and the first thing that you do is go to the fridge and open the fridge to find something to eat, that's because you've just spent the whole day depleted. Depleted of purpose, depleted of passion, depleted of energy. So you go and you try to find all of those things inside your fridge, or on the phone, or on talabat as takeout. If you walk home and your home is not organized and it's messy, and this one is, I mean, for me, this one took the longest to actually realize the kind of an impact it has on me, but it has an impact on your nervous system. When you walk into a space that's messy and not organized, or you try to find something and it takes you forever to find it, this is gonna raise your cortisol levels. It's gonna make you edgy. It's gonna make you frustrated. And you need to calm it down, right? Whenever we feel cortisol go up, what do? We want to calm it down with something. You're going to eat. And if you're not moving on a daily basis, right? Even if you're eating really healthy, like you're on this program, but you're not moving, that's another piece of being healthy. That's another part of your soul that needs nourishing. If you're not moving every single day, your body will be irritable, because our bodies are built to move. You also won't have enough happy hormones, right? There are some hormones that are only produced and only secreted when you go and move and when you go and work out. So you're going to be uncomfortable and you're going to eat. Each one of these creates a void. It's there. Maybe you didn't know it. Maybe now is the first time you ever hear about it. Maybe now is the first time you're ever getting awareness around it. But every single one of these areas will create a void that you will subconsciously fill with food at some point in your life. Let me see what else you guys are saying here. Dina, home environment, relationships, home environment, career, relationships as well. Career, physical activities is the lowest. Career, physical activity, home environment, finances are the lowest. You've identified them, ladies. This is your first step. And Hiba, social life, joy, career. Okay, so some of you have given me your actual numbers. When you're looking at something that's a 1, Abid has joy as 1, or a 2, physical activity. Social life is 2. Hiba says joy is also 1. Career is 1. Physical. So this is your cheat sheet. Right there. You've just identified why you're going to your fridge. Some of you are telling me I'm bored with the food. I'm bored with the salad. Let me just go back and read these. Hang on. Is PMSing emotional eating? PMSing at this point is going to be emotional because we should have gotten rid of all the nutritional deficiencies that lead to PMS, Dina. So maybe it's going to take you a few more cycles, but PMS is more of a nutritional deficiency / toxicity issue than it is emotional eating. So if you're finding yourself with really, really heavy PMS cravings, you need to look at the emotional. Nohira, I was angry last week. I ate pistachio. There you go. You were angry. I don't enjoy eating vegetables at all. I feel bored doing the salad every day, especially in winter. I like eating soup and fruits in winter. So you just gave yourself the solution. So have your soup and fruits, right? But right now, there's no nutritional deficiency that's causing any of you to go and have the melted cheese sandwich. It's all emotional. Hiba, I'm really bored at the same time, struggling between the food I really like its taste and the healthy food, which doesn't taste really good and not a lot of variety, although it makes me feel better and better with my health. I mean, I'm not enjoying eating clean, but I enjoy the effects of it. So again, what did you use to associate food with? So food is not just about the taste, it's also about the experience. So is there something about eating this way that takes away from the joy of eating different types of food? Is it the socializing? Is it being with other people? Is it going out? Shadeen, boredom, hiba, fear, worry, boredom, stress, loneliness, sadness. Yeah. So here's what I want you all to do, especially the ones who have a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Choose the lowest one that you have, that you feel, if you were to work on it right now, would make the biggest difference to you, because you can't work on all of them at the same time, right? So Hiba, we can't work on joy and creativity and career and physical activity all at the same time. It's too much for the brain it's going to overwhelm your critter brain. But the incredible thing is, let's say, Hiba, you decide to focus on career, right? Career is one for you. Let's say you spend the next couple of weeks really thinking about what would light you up, really thinking about something that would have you excited to get out of bed in the morning. Automatically, that's going to increase your joy. Right there. Automatically, that's going to increase your physical activity because you're going to get out of bed and you're going to get up and do something versus being stagnant and not doing anything. Automatically, that's going to get your brain thinking in a creative way. How do I want to go and fulfill this career of mine, this new area of my life that I want to pursue? And that goes for all of you. So I want you to choose the one that would make the biggest difference for you from the ones that are low, between 1 and 5. Choose just one and share it on the group with me. And we'll have a little conversation back and forth to see how you can evolve this part of your primary foods and how you can gradually evolve it to a point where it's not an emotional eating trigger for you anymore. Questions, ladies. So this is your homework for the next, we're doing emotional eating for a month, and then we're doing mindful eating, mindfulness. So you don't have to come at me with an answer tomorrow unless you absolutely know, right? I need to work on my career. Let's have a conversation around career. Think about it. I'm giving you prompts every day in the group. So please be sure. I'm only going to be doing 1 post a day in the morning now, which is just the journal prompt, because that's all I want you to focus on. And I really want you to think about, there's no wrong or right answers. It's about, part of sort of sitting with your emotions, observing your emotions, is understanding the thoughts in your head, because your emotions are the results of your thoughts. Every single emotion you have is dependent on the thought that preceded it, which is what we did in the thought model. So the prompts that you're going to get are going to help you tap into your thoughts. And when you understand the thoughts, you understand why you're having certain feelings. So let this process happen slowly. While in the back of your mind, you're aware that, you know what? It's my career. I'm unhappy every day. I'm unsatisfied every day. I have this big void in my life every day because I don't do something that fills me up. I don't have a purpose. And we all have a purpose in this world. We all have a reason why we were put on this earth. If you haven't figured it out yet, you're gonna try and fill that void. You're gonna eat because you don't feel like you're filling your purpose in this world. So go through the journal prompts. Share with us a takeaway or two that you get from the prompts. Share with us your awarenesses around these 12 areas of your primary food. And just let this next month be a month of exploration, emotional exploration. No right or wrong, no definitive answers. If you decide you want to focus on your career and then a week later you decide, you know what, actually, no, I want to focus on movement. It's a very fluid process. You get to do that. Hiba, go ahead.
Hi, Dana. Hi, all. I want to admit something at first. I really found a great difference in my health. My number one, I stopped using nasal drops anymore, and this was impossible before. Impossible, especially at night while sleeping.
Okay.
Yeah. I also all the pain in my body, it disappeared. The pain body in my neck, in my lower back, all these disappeared completely. I'm very happy with the results. So I find this clean eating or this program, it really affected me in a very positive way.
Yeah.
I don't want to quit, but I'm really so bored.
So let's
bored. Okay.
Let's walk through that. Okay. So what exactly, always when you're identifying something, and even as you go through these areas of your life, you want to be very specific. Whenever when you say like my career is a 1, be very specific. What about your career makes it a number 1? What about physical activity makes it number 2? So what about clean eating is boring for you?
Maybe the variety of vegetables and the taste, actually, because I used to love butter and cream and carbs, and I the word delicious.
Okay. So
I don't feel this word actually now.
So how can you, 2 things to think about here though. You can always have what you consider delicious whenever you want. Remember that.
But I feel guilty afterwards.
Okay, you have free will. When you make a decision, there's no guilt around it. If you're making any decision in your life, you're making that an informed decision, right? The fact that you still have guilt attached to it, that means you're still looking at this on some level as a diet.
Yes, actually, yes.
Right?
Some part, a little part of my mind still thinking of it, that it's not sustainable. I cannot stay for a long time like this.
Exactly.
Actually, yeah, to be honest.
Yes. And this is really important for you to acknowledge, right? But we know that this is very typical dieter's mindset. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is to go do a thought model on this. Because just because you're thinking it doesn't mean it's the truth. You just got used to these thoughts. You've had these thoughts in your head for so long, generally around dieting, right? Generally, whenever I diet and I remove food groups, or I'm not allowed to eat certain types of food, I know that this is sustainable, and you have proof because every time you've done it before, it hasn't been sustainable.
Yes. So it wasn't sustainable at all.
It wasn't sustainable. This time, however, you have tools to work on your mindset, because this is all mindset. Yes, the food could be, you could put more variety into the taste, right? You can put more variety into making it delicious. You can think about the food that you used to eat. And again, this is just a thought, right? The fact that you think the food you used to eat was delicious and this food isn't, believe it or not, is a thought, because there's plenty of women here who think the food is amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course. Yeah, I can
So,
see that.
now, this is just to say that it's all about your perception. That's not to say that you can't get creative, right? Put creativity to use here and make the food a little bit more at this point in the program, especially that now the pain is gone, you're seeing significant changes, right? This is the point where you can start the creativity, the experimenting, right? How can I
Yes.
make food a little bit more sustainable? How can I make it so that every day I want to eat this food versus I have to eat this food?
I'm trying to find a lot of ways to cook even the food. But sometimes for example, today, I missed the rice so much. So
Okay.
I couldn't, I just took one small spoon of rice.
Okay.
I was very happy at the beginning, but afterwards, no, I knew that I did something bad to my body.
Hang on.
I ate something unhealthy.
But did your body tell you that it was wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
What did your body, what did it tell you? Here's the food is just
suddenly I got that sweat. It have been very little past few days.
Okay.
I didn't sweat at all, or maybe once or twice the last week. After I ate this spoon of rice, no, I felt sweating.
This is an experiment and nothing else.
Yeah.
You eat food. Food is always going to be an experiment and nothing else. And some experiments are going to work really, really, really well because your body will feel it and you're going to be pain-free and you're going to be symptom-free. And sometimes you're going to eat food and the experiment is going to give back data. You know what? This wasn't optimally healthy. This is not working. This is called listening. It's not about guilting yourself. It's not about it's not a judgment on your character, the way you eat. So, I mean, you came in here and you said, I have to admit something. So people who have to admit something typically have, like committed a crime of some sort, right? They have to confess. I'm coming in here to admit or confess.
Admit and confess, because I wasn't really trusting the process, actually, to be honest, not 100%. I was experimenting also, going through the process, and I want to see the results.
Yes, but you see, well, on one hand, you've seen results.
Yeah, so I admit I was wrong.
No, there's no wrong. There's no right or wrong. You're just experimenting with food. That's it. And some of the experiments, it's a scientific experiment. Some of the experiments work and some of them don't. Move on. Move on. There's no guilt around you experimenting. There's no guilt around you trying to understand your body, trying to navigate and see, right, now that I don't have any of these pains at all. Now I don't have these nasal drops anymore. Fine.
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to have some rice. Let's be curious. Be curious. Instead of feeling guilty or apprehensive, always approach every single meal with curiosity. Even the meals you've already been having and you know that they work fine with you. Because believe it or not, there's going to come a time where the things that used to work for you might not work for you. So when you approach it always from, I'm very curious. Let's see what's going to happen today. What's the feedback I'm going to get from my body today?
Okay. I have one more question. If I'm eating a lot of dates, actually, sometimes I crave something sweet. Is this emotional also eating, or what?
At this point, it would be emotional.
Yeah.
At this point, it would be emotional. There's nothing wrong with having dates right now. Okay. Because up until today's class, you weren't necessarily sure of why that's an emotional trigger, right? The great thing was that you didn't respond to the emotional trigger with your usual comfort food, right? So that's the first step always. So even all of you, as you're going through this process and you realize that you're being triggered emotionally, the first thing to do, because you can't just go from being emotionally triggered and using comfort food and just automatically wake up the next day and do it differently. It doesn't work that way. The first step is to acknowledge I've been emotionally triggered and I need to fill this void. I still don't know how to bring up this part of my life so it's not a void. So yeah, I do need the food. I still need the food. But you know what? Instead of the melted cheese, I'm going to go have all of these dates.
Yeah, I eat a lot.
100% okay. And that's actually how the process works. The first step is to substitute. Whatever it is that you were using as comfort food, substitute that with something else that you're not going to rewire your brain overnight. Even if you do a thought model. Thought model is going to bring your awareness to a different level, but the actual habit needs gradual rewiring. And it's not about, I'm feeling so emotional today and I've had a really hard day and I feel very depleted and I feel very sad and let me just have a carrot. Or let me have nothing, right? Not on day one of this process. Day one of this process is you just, for the first time ever, acknowledging I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm depleted, and I need food to fill this void. But let me at least take something that's good for me.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Sandra, go ahead.
Hi. So my issue is with like when I'm following like the clean eating, sometimes I I want like you said, like cheese sandwich or like chocolate, and because most of the time we're fasting whether it's Lent or Christmas, so sometimes I feel like like this is an opportunity, since it's not is like this is the time between the fasting, so I feel like like, oh, then I can have it. So like, because next month, for example, even if I crave it, I won't be able to have it. So now it's my chance when I actually want chocolate, so that's my golden opportunity to actually go for it.
Okay.
But then when you start, and then now I have pimples whenever I eat something that my body is not like happy with. You can immediately see it on my skin.
Yep.
And of course my tummy is like suffers. So I don't know what to do.
So two things here. The bigger issue here is that you see your fasting as deprivation, right? So this is the same thing that happens in Ramadan, right? We see that fasting for religious purposes is a type of deprivation. And it's the one that we really, really stick to, right? Like nothing can get somebody to stop eating, period, like in Ramadan, or stop eating certain foods like a religious command, okay? So the question here is, why are you seeing it as deprivation? And this goes to everybody, because Ramadan is coming up, and the first thing that everybody says is, I feel like I didn't get to eat anything all day, so my reward is I get to eat all this food at Fitr time because I haven't eaten all day, my body's starving. So you're having the same thought process, Sandra, but just the application of it is different. So you're thinking, Lent is coming up and I won't be able to have dairy, or cheese or chocolate. That's deprivation mode. So let me have it all now before I get to the deprivation. So everybody needs to reframe their fasting. Fasting is not about deprivation. Fasting is not about not being allowed to eat certain foods. Fasting is about removing the focus on the physical so that you can have, guess what? Spiritual primary food. Spirituality is a primary food. And when we are ordered to fast in all religions, it's so that we can actually focus on one of our primary foods that we might not be focusing on as much during other times of the year. So it's a reframe here. Fasting is not about removing foods. Fasting is about allowing the opportunity for our spirituality to grow. Whatever way you fast, when you reframe it that way, the fasting part becomes irrelevant. When you think that Lent is about increasing my spirituality, getting closer to God, multiplying my daily practices, doing whatever it is that I don't usually do during the rest of the year, but I'm going to do it now. Same thing goes for Ramadan versus I don't get to eat this, and I don't get to eat this, and I don't get to eat this. It's not about food. None of the religious fasts are about food. They're about raising your spirituality. So this is the bigger overarching issue here, Sandra. Beyond that, okay, if you want chocolate, and this goes for everybody, whenever you want, and this gets a little bit easier when we understand mindfulness, but whenever you want a piece of chocolate, go and have it. When you want a melted cheese sandwich, go and have it. Understand the reason. Start to understand the, like Sandra, you were clear actually about your reason because you're worried that you're not going to get it next month. So there's a deprivation issue there, right? You're worried, you're stressed about not having something. So go ahead and have it. Your health is not about the things that you do every once in a while. Hiba did not get rid of all of her pains and her nasal drops. And any of you who've gotten rid of any pains, you didn't do that because you had a melted cheese sandwich in the past 5 weeks. It's because you had 3 meals a day times 7, 21 meals times 5, almost 200 meals that help to heal your body. It's the things you do every single day, day in, day out, that are either going to heal you or they're going to create disease. Having one salad is not going to heal you. And having one melted cheese sandwich is not going to harm you either. It's about the bigger picture. It's about what are you doing 95% of the time, not what you're doing the 5% of the time. Okay, ladies, it's 8:15. Oh my gosh, let me see. Quick. Noher, cauliflower rice. It's very tasty with vegetables. It is one of my favorite meals. The cauliflower rice, actually from the Clean Eating Guide, the cauliflower rice with the pesto sauce and the tahina and avocado, staple for me until today. I don't know why I have constipation again. I don't know what I'm missing. Okay, anybody who has a personal issue, please either email me or post it on the group. Ate a lot of dates. Okay, popcorn, then dark chocolate, betting my body reacted with allergies, rash all over. Okay, this is data, Dina. Data. There's nothing wrong. Nothing has gone wrong here. Now you know, right? You didn't know before. Now you know for sure that popcorn and dark chocolate are going to do that to you. Data. There's your experiment. Shahinaz, it's not deprivation, it's a matter of habit. So how are we going to eat with all this food in front of us? Are you talking about generally Shahinaz or Ramadan? Yesterday I took my food with me, but will I be able to do that every time I go out? I make my choices for sure, but inshallah I'll be strong enough to stay on the right track. Because I feel great and my skin is smooth. I can feel the change in my gut and the allergy instantly when I eat good. That is not, okay. If you're talking about Ramadan, in general, Shahinaz, you guys are going to be in the Ramadan group, and that's something that we will talk in the group. And when you say, how am I going to do this? Anytime you ask yourself, how am I going to do this about anything? It's by making a decision. The same way that you did it, you took your food yesterday, you'll be able to do it again. You made a decision yesterday, you can make the same decision over and over and over again. Stupid question, is popcorn as toxic as the fresh corn? Yeah, all corn, if it's genetically modified, it's all toxic. All right. Okay, ladies, thank you so much for hanging on. Class went a little bit more than usual. Think about your primary foods. Think about the one that will make the biggest difference for you to start to work on first. And let me know in the group so that I can coach you through that and see how you can get started. We have class next week, which is just Q&A. So I will not be teaching anything next week. There's nothing new for me to actually, teach you. So come in here prepared with all your questions. It will be an opportunity for one-on-one if you have something specific that you want to get support with. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll have the mindfulness class. And then the class after that will be another Q&A, only Q&A class. And then we have our last congratulatory class. If you haven't gone back and watched all the replays, please do that. Continue to watch the replays, continue to keep yourself in the momentum. Those of you who are coming in the group regularly and asking questions, fantastic. Those of you who are, for whatever reason, not showing up for me, I'm just going to assume you're doing great and that you don't need help. I don't know if you need help unless you let me know that you need help. All right. So make sure to either post on the group or email me if there's something that you need support with. We still have until April together. You have a lot of time to make changes that maybe you felt you haven't made enough changes. Maybe something's fell through the cracks for you. This is why we have all this time together. It doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you give up. It doesn't mean you disappear. Come back. Let me support you. Let me help you get back on the track that you have chosen for yourself. All right, ladies? Have a wonderful
Thank you, Dana.
day. And I'll see you all next week. Bye, ladies.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Dana.
Bye.
It was interesting. Bye.
Thank you.
Welcome.